Hey, if you guys want a chance to win one of these awesome rolling pins, make sure you stick around till the end of the video. What's going on, everyone? I hope you're having an amazing day. This is actually a Christmas present that I made for my wife this year. It's a French style rolling pin made from broken skateboards and this amazing quilted maple. The first step in this process was to take all the graphics and grip tape off the skateboards. Now, I reached out to my buddy Ben from Woby Designs just to get some tips on the best methods to getting the graphics off the boards. He suggested getting one of these Kutzall extreme shaping discs. You need to make sure to remove the graphics just to make sure your glue adheres properly. So with that done, I cut off the nose and the tail of the skateboard as well as trimming off the rounded edges. Now this material is gold for using for other projects, so I would suggest putting it aside for now. All we really need for the rolling pin is these middle straight sections. Now to glue my sections of skateboard up, I did use Typebond 3. This is typically what I use for cutting boards, so because it's water resistant, this is probably your best bet other than an epoxy. After a generous amount of Typebond 3, I started clamping everything with all the little clamps I had. After letting it dry for a few days, I milled it up on my joiner and squared everything off with the table saw. And then I can move on to prepping the quilted maple for the other half of the rolling pin. Being able to stretch this material worked out really well because this is easily the most expensive small piece of wood I've ever purchased. After a bit of cleanup on the joiner and some sanding, it was on to using an ungodly amount of Typebond 3 again to join my two sections together. Again, I came back after the glue was dry and I cut this down to a 3¼ inch by 3¼ inch square. Now after marking out and finding my centers on the piece, I remembered a tip from Grade 10 Wood Shop. And that's to cut all your corners off at 45 degrees just so you're not plowing through and trying to take that material off over at the lathe. Now speaking of lathes, I turned this on my Craftex CX813. This is a lathe that Busy Bee sent me over the summer, and I just got the extension wing, which worked out perfectly based on the fact that my material blank was just longer than the lathe would allow for. Now this little Craftex lathe is such a workhorse. It's probably one of the only mini lathes that I have ever seen that has a variable speed control, which is a good thing, but in the wrong hands, a very bad thing, as you'll see a little bit later on in the video. Hey, if you want to see more small projects like this, let me know in the comments. I typically end up doing a little bit bigger builds, but I'd love to try and do a little bit more, more weekend warrior projects this year. Oh, and if you're not subscribed already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I super appreciate it, and it helps me grow this channel so I can do more content like this. With the rolling pin turned down to a size I was happy with, I could start marking each end. Now on a French style rolling pin, there isn't handles on the side, so your two ends are tapered to a smaller diameter towards the end, so you have a spot just to roll your hands and just a little bit more control other than a flat surface. Now, I don't think the taper needs to be too drastic. I just marked it out enough so there was a comfortable width along the palm of my hands. Taper on the rolling pin done, I moved on to sanding the piece and prepping for finish. I used the Abernet sandpaper from MIRKA and I sanded from 100 grit all the way up to 320. Now as you're working through the grits, a bit of a wood turning pro tip. Make sure you're sanding with the grain and against the grain. The way that you achieve that is by sanding with the machine running and with the machine not running. For me, this is the best way I've found to get an evenly sanded piece. Now where the hardware mounting holes are on a skateboard, those are voids that you do have to fill. Now I only had a few that popped up, so I just used a tiny bit of CA glue just to fill those voids. Do you remember when I talked about the variable speed being a good and a bad thing? My microphone was plugged in, but it wasn't even turned on, but listen closely. Yeah, I cranked my speed up way too high, thinking I'd be able to sand it that much faster, which resulted in the piece flying across the room. I had some minor success using the water and steam trick to pull the dent out of the wood, but eventually I actually had to refinish the entire outside to be able to get that dent out. After cutting the French rolling pin down to size, I moved over to my stationary oscillating sander just to clean up my ends a little bit. Now, if you did watch my shop tour video, you know that this outfeed table with the dual flip top is on the docket to rebuild this year. I'm just waiting to get my new table saw, and once I do that, I'm going to be doing a full build video on this station. For finish, I'm just using my beeswax and mineral finish that I usually use for my cutting boards. I did several coats of this, letting it dry for a bit, and then buffing it into the surface. I have to say, the photos really do not do justice just to how amazing this contrast is with the maple and of course the laminations from the skateboards. So like I said earlier in this video, I am going to be giving one of these away to any of my subscribers that comment on this video. So like I said, to win this, you need to be subscribed, you need to like this video, and you need to comment below telling me you want this rolling pin. Okay, I'll be doing this draw on February 6, 2021, and I'll be doing it over on my Instagram page. So if you're following me over there, you'll be able to see first who the winner of this amazing rolling pin is. It's really funny how this one actually worked out. On Christmas Eve, my wife was working on some cinnamon buns for the next day, and as she was rolling the dough out, our current rolling pin fell apart. So she got to open this a little bit early, and it was a really funny moment for us when she opened the package and saw that the thing that she needed right at that moment was a rolling pin. I want to say thanks again to my buddy Ben from Woby Designs. Guys, if you like projects with recycled skateboards, make sure you go check out his channel. That's all he works in, and it's such a cool medium, and it definitely inspired me to do this video. Like I said, if you want a chance to win one of these rolling pins, make sure you're subscribed, hit that thumbs up, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Oh, and if you want to check out some of the other things I've made, I've queued up the next couple videos for you to check out. Take care, guys.